Hello everyone, my name is Christopher Liam Rose. I'm an author, mentor, life coach, motivational speaker, evangelist, musician and activist. We're going to be sharing a new episode for the podcast, My Life is Like a Story. I shared this podcast, My Life is Like a Story, to inspire humanity, to learn about Jesus Christ, Jehovah and Buddha through my storytelling and through my spiritual life lessons. I've shared My Life is Like a Story podcast to inspire humanity to learn about faith, spirituality, faith and religion through storytelling and through me sharing my life experiences. And I'm sharing My Life is Like a Story podcast to inspire humanity to learn from my life experiences, my successes, my failures, my mistakes, my regrets, and just how I am as a human being, because this podcast is a reflection of my life experiences and who I am as a person. So it has all of my insights that I've learned on my journey and all of the lessons that I've learned on my journey. So today I was at work and I've been having this call in to discuss this topic, and I don't think I've discussed it before within My Life is Like a Story podcast, and I wanted to share it a bit today because I think this will help anyone that's gone through relationships or had partners or divorces, or anyone that is currently in a relationship and it's not going well or working out. So this podcast episode is called Breakups and Relationships. So I want to share a bit about my life story in breakups and relationships, and some of the spiritual life lessons that I've learned on my journey. So basically within my life I've had two serious relationships. One was with one of my ex-partners called D. I'm not going to say her real name, I'll just say the letter D. And we had a relationship for a couple of years, and then we broke up and had a breakup. And then my second partner that I met was called, I'll just say D again. And this was a different partner. We had like a 3-year relationship, and then we broke up. For me, I've never been successful in relationships. That's why I've always had breakups in my time. Relationships I find quite difficult, especially when you don't know how a relationship works or how to care for another person when you can't even care for yourself. So all my breakups have happened because of my own mental health condition of schizophrenia, psychosis and depression. So because of my mental health condition, sometimes it affects my relationships because I'm suffering, going through pain and adversity, and I don't know how to care and love my partner. So in both relationships that I had, which was the two main relationships that I've been in at the moment within my life, they both broke up. I became single in both of those relationships with the both partners. They both had first letters of D of their names, and those relationships didn't work out, and now I'm single again. Obviously within the breakup and relationships, it really destroyed me, it really upset me, but it taught me a lot of lessons about myself and a lot of learning of who I am as a person. So when I went through my first breakup with my ex-partner D, obviously it was quite a serious situation because I was quite physically aggressive, I was quite violent, and we weren't really getting along. We're having a lot of arguments, a lot of it just wasn't a healthy relationship. And I think in that relationship D cared more for me than I cared for D, and I think in that relationship I just wasn't a good partner at all. And there's a lot of learning and life lessons from that relationship. And obviously D decided to break up with me, which obviously broke my heart because she was the first ever serious relationship I had, and someone that I spent a lot of time with and was with quite a lot. When she broke up with me, I was heartbroken, I was vulnerable, I was depressed, I was unhappy due to my mental health conditions of schizophrenia, psychosis and depression. I normally would feel vulnerable and mentally psychotic as well, because when you go through a loss of a partner in a breakup, it does affect your mental health in a very negative way. So I was having a lot of negative thoughts about myself, thinking about my actions, thinking about my behaviour, thinking about what I could have done better, and just going through that whole process of trying to find out what do I do here and where do I go. So in the first breakup, what I learnt from it is that, you have to look after your partner, and you can't be someone that's very selfish, because I think a lot of things about myself was, at the time, I was a very selfish person, always thinking about myself, what's best for me. I wasn't caring for her needs, what was important for her. I wasn't supporting her in a university degree because she went to Brunel, and I wasn't really helping her in her studies and trying to be there for her. So it was a sad situation, because I did love her. She was the first serious relationship I had, but I think at the time I wasn't ready for that sort of a commitment relationship, because I was still with women. I was obviously cheating at the time. I wasn't faithful to her. I wasn't even faithful to myself, and I was going through like mental health difficulties of schizophrenia, psychosis, and depression. And my life just wasn't really in a good way. I was just vulnerable. I was suffering, going through pain and adversity, and I didn't even know who I was as a person or as a human being. So in that breakup and relationship, it just didn't work out. But what I gained from it, which is the lesson that I learned, is that I need to find who I am and discover my gifts and my talents after that breakup. And what happened was, when I was in my flat alone, I can't remember what year it was. I can't remember what year the breakup was, but it was a long time ago now. And when I was alone in my flat, just feeling depressed, unhappy and sad, I sat down and had a piece of paper, and I wrote my first ever musical song, because obviously I'm a spiritual musician that makes music all the time. So I make spiritual music in hip-hop, rap, R&B, Christian and gospel, and spiritual music. So that's the music that I'm very interested in. And I wrote my first ever song after the breakup, which was called Power and Pain. And Power and Pain was a song about the power of basically living a life in a certain way, and the pain of losing things that were important to you. So that was my first ever song I ever wrote. It's the first ever song I ever recorded, and that started my journey as a musician. At the time when I was being a musician, I was first just a rapper, rapping over beats and instrumentals from hip-hop artists and rap artists. Then I did some R&B music, because I had a bit of insight into love making songs and R&B songs. And as my musical talents grew, I basically just kept on doing music and kept on learning about music and studying music. And that brought a new passion inside of me from that loss. But obviously, I think my ex-partner, I think she's obviously got a baby now, and she's probably married now and settled down, which I'm happy for her, because I don't think I was the right partner for her because of my behavior, my personality, and just where I was in my life at that time. It's just, I wasn't the right fit for her. So obviously now she's moved on with children, married or with a partner, and I'm happy for her. And I don't have any resentment towards the breaking up with me, and I don't have any sadness towards it. I think it was the right thing to do at the time, even though it was painful for me. But as far as relationships, I learned that you have to take care of your partner and be there for your partner. And then for my second breakup in a relationship was with another person called D, a different partner. At first it was a lot of romance, a lot of fun. We've done a lot of things together. Then we decided to go out with each other, and it was good for the beginning of the relationship. And then during the relationship, things started to take a turn for the worse, where I was very selfish in my music. I was always recording, always rapping, always producing music, and I was always doing music. And because I was setting up a company called SGR, which stands for Star Gang Rock Stars, most of my time was spent on building the business, and I had a YouTube channel called Recky Rose, which is my artist name YouTube channel. I had videos upon videos, I had albums upon albums, mixtapes, singles, EPs. I was always recording music because I felt my passion after the breakup with my first partner, and I wasn't making time for my next partner in the relationship. So she started to get disappointed with me. I think the love for me started to fade, and my second partner, her initials also start with D as well. She decided to break up with me because I wasn't there for her when she was going through difficult times, and I wasn't being supportive as a boyfriend. So she broke up with me, and then I basically knew that was one of the difficult, hardest breakups that I could ever been through. It took a lot out of me. It kind of destroyed my life in a way, because I was a independent musician, having a music business in a relationship. My life was going well, and then after the breakup, I just felt depressed, unhappy, sad, and it basically destroyed my life, because I thought this person was the love of my life. We were very close together, obviously intimate together, and when she broke up with me, it destroyed me. Basically, it destroyed my life, and made me search for questions about myself of who am I, what's important to me, why do I keep having breakups in relationships. And I learned after the breakup with my that was my last relationship that I had with obviously her initials is D as well, which was my next partner. I decided to go on a spiritual journey of discovering who I am. So first I started to do meditation and mindfulness at home. Then I started to do meditation and mindfulness in the parks. And I was on a journey of discovering who I am. And as I was going through these spiritual life experiences, I was learning more about myself and finding more about myself. And then basically I started to get psychotic, I think, due to the meditation and the mindfulness. And I started to see visions of the future. I was able to see past my current circumstances and go into my mind into the future, which I call it a spiritual awakening and a spiritual revolution. And then in the 30th of September 2014, I lost my home and all my possessions on a fire that burnt my home, burnt my livelihood, burnt my music equipment, my furniture, my clothes, my possessions and my belongings. And then that specific day I became homeless and mentally psychotic and unwell. And my ex-partner already broke up with me before the fire, so she wasn't in my life when the fire happened. This was all happening to me because I was going through a spiritual life experience and a spiritual journey. And then after that breakup, I became homeless. I was sleeping in the area of West London with other homeless people, and I basically got sectioned in hospital because of my schizophrenia, psychosis and depression. So that was the last relationship I was in, and that lasted for around 3 years. With my other first partner, it lasted about 6 to 7 years. But I think I learned after the breakup from my recent partner, who obviously left me, that I need to just find who I am as a person, find what's important to me, what do I value, what do I want to do in my life, where do I want to go, and what path I want to lead. And basically I've been single now for the last 13 years of my life, which is a very long time for me, because I'm not normally single for that amount of time. I'm normally always in relationships, always with women, and always in some form of relationship. But I learned when you're on a spiritual path that sometimes you need to be single to discover who you are and find who you are. So I've been single for a personal choice. It wasn't down to anybody telling me to be single. I wanted to be single, and I didn't want to have a relationship until I knew who I was. And then basically in my journey after the homelessness and mental health crisis, and being sectioned in hospital for my mental health, I met two people who basically transformed my life and changed me from being mentally psychotic and homeless, going through severe depression, severe anxiety, suffering pain, adversity, was very intense, and they basically changed my life into helping other people, the spiritual music and faith and spirituality. And I met these people when I was in hospital, and they work with me in the community. So their names are Paul Dorrington and Dr. Karen Michigan, and these are the two spiritual heroes that helped me on my journey. And then those are the two people that showed me about mental health recovery, relationships, depression, spirituality, faith, employment, work, opportunities, life purpose, understanding tragedy and loss and suffering, pain, adversity, and understanding myself as a human being. And then I went on a journey with the support of Paul Dorrington and Dr. Karen Michigan into helping other people, giving back and making a difference. And now within my life, I've transformed the homelessness and mental health crisis into helping other people, the spiritual music and faith and spirituality. And I'm still single now. I haven't been in a relationship since my last partner, and I've done a bit of dating, but nothing led to any serious relationship. But I don't know if I want a relationship in the future. I don't know if I want to go on that journey again, and I don't know if I want another partner. Sometimes I say to myself I do, and then sometimes I say to myself I don't. I think for me, I'm not going to worry too much about having another partner or a relationship. I'm just going to be focused on what's important for me now. And in my life, I've got a few things that are very important to me. So helping other people, the spiritual music and faith and spirituality. So my work is about focusing on just continuing to work in those three areas. And I think God's purpose for me is to create. So even though after I've lost my two ex-partners and now I'm single in my life today, I think part of me needs to create, and I need to share, and I need to inspire people and motivate people. And I think, I don't have to be in a relationship to be happy. I don't have to be in a relationship to find love. I think for me, my love comes now from creating new things in the work of helping other people, the spiritual music and faith and spirituality. And I find a real appreciation for life, which has given me a motivation to move forward and to help other people. And also, as I was going through the homelessness and mentally psychotic episodes of my life, I also had support from a philosopher called Christian Naughty and my founder of my church, Doug Hewitt Mills. So that's what got me into the faith, spirituality, faith and religion. And then I started to go into church. I became an evangelist and an activist for both Christianity and Buddhism. And then I found my relationship with Jesus Christ and Buddha through faith and spirituality. And that brought me closer to God of Jehovah. And obviously my life is completely different now from where it was. I think my other partner, ex-partner, she's probably moved on now as well, probably have children, a family, a relationship for her. So I'm happy for her, and I have no resentment towards her, even though I'll be honest, that breakup basically cost me my home and my livelihood. But you can't change the past, can you? You can't change that. Maybe I had to go through the loss of that partner and the homelessness and the mental psychotic episode to find who I was. And now I try to focus my life in basically the 7 spiritual practices: prayer, meditation, mindfulness, walking, journaling, and silence, and yoga, and also the 7 levels of helping other people. Level 1, volunteering, the good level in helping other people. Level 2, jobs, careers, employment, the great level in helping other people. Level 3, business and entrepreneurship, the highest level in helping other people. Level 4, faith and spiritual, the spiritual levels in helping other people. Level 5, spiritually helping other people who help other people. The teaching levels in helping other people. Level 6, spiritually helping other people in spiritual spiritual change levels and helping other people. And then level 7, spiritual helping other people and spiritual truth, the spiritual enlightenment levels and helping other people. So my life has taken a massive turn. I haven't been in a relationship for 13 years. I haven't been intimate with somebody within that same amount of time for 13 years. But I think due to being single for so long, having my faith in spirituality, faith in religion, and just building my skills and my qualities and my personality and my mentality and behavior, I'm happy with how my life is now, even though I'm not in a relationship and even though I don't have children and I'm not married, and I'm obviously 37, so I'm quite old to not be married and to not have children. But I don't let that worry me, because I think I now found my purpose in life, which is to spiritually help other people, do spiritual music, and live in faith and spirituality. And basically, throughout this journey of these breakups and relationships, I learned that, if I am going to be in a relationship, it has to be with the right person. And I think with the first ex-partner that I had, I wasn't ready for that commitment at the time when she was. With the second partner that I had, we were on two different paths. We wanted two different things, so it was never going to work out. And I think she wanted to be with someone that was Asian or Indian. She didn't want to be someone that was black. So I think that was another thing that definitely wouldn't have worked out neither. But obviously in life you have to learn and try. I'm not saying I'm a perfect person in romantic relationships, because I'm not. I'm very new to it and I really don't know a lot about relationships, and I think that's the reason why I've been having these breakups and failed relationships. But at the end of the day, for me now, I have to focus on what's important to me, which is spiritually helping other people, spiritual music, faith and spirituality. And I think for me, whatever happens in the future, wherever God takes me, wherever my purpose leads me to, I'm going to focus on what's important. And I also learn after these breakups and relationships that I'm gifted in music, I'm gifted in podcasts, I'm gifted in videos, I'm gifted in public speaking, I'm gifted in evangelism and activism, and I'm very gifted in faith and spirituality. And also I learned about the know self, selflessness, and know thyself. And these are the qualities I've been developing all the time. And then I also learned about the know mind recently, and just developed myself more as a human being. So my message for this podcast and audio today for My Life Is Like a Story podcast is that it's okay to have failed relationships. Two people obviously come together sometimes in life to find who they are, and if they do break up and separate, it doesn't mean you're a bad person or they're a bad person. Maybe God had another plan for you within your life to do, or another way that He wanted to share someone else with you. So closed doors are normally new beginnings, and for me, in both relationships that I had, my first breakup taught me about music. My second breakup taught me about faith and spirituality. So I think in life nothing is wasted, even relationships that didn't work out. You can always find the lessons from it, you can always learn from it, and if you are very spiritual and faithful, you can see the spiritual life lessons of how it molds you into a person and shaped you. Obviously I'm happy for both of my ex-partners if they've moved on. I know they've both moved on now, but I'm happy for them, and I have no resentment towards them or anger towards them or frustration towards them. They did the best thing for their life at the time, and if they wanted to leave me and break up with me, that's a decision that they both chosen to make. Obviously both ex-partners broke up with me. I didn't break up with the partners, they broke up with me. So that was their choice and decision. I have to live my life still. Just because you have a broken relationship doesn't mean that life doesn't continue. So I have to still move forward, keep helping other people, doing spiritual music, and living faith and spirituality. So my only real life lesson that I've learned now is that if I do find someone in the future, if I do become married or have children, then my partner has to be spiritual and has to be God-fearing, and has to eat like a vegetarian diet. And I think those are quite important things for me, because I don't eat animals due to my religious beliefs and spiritual beliefs, and I'm very spiritual and God-fearing and faithful, and I have to, if I do meet someone, I have to be a spiritual seeker and trying to find the truth of life. And I'm still on my journey as a young person, still finding my way, making mistakes along the way, having low days sometimes, having problems some days, not finding things perfect all the time. I'm still going through the process of just finding myself. But at the same time, with relationships, I just want to take my time. And I know 13 years is a very long time for a young person to be out of a relationship. I could have been married, settled down with children at the time. But if God wanted that to happen in my life, then I would have been in a relationship now. So I feel like God maybe not wanting me to be in a relationship right now because it's not the right time. So I'm always open to it. I'm not open to not seeing someone. I'm open to it. But I'm not gonna, spend my time trying to chase women or find someone to love me, because that's just not how I am. And I'm more focused on my work, what I do for a living, what's important to me, which is spiritually helping other people, the spiritual music and faith and spirituality. And with all the relationships I've had, with all the breakups I've had with women, I'm happy for my ex-partners, and I have so many ex-partners that I've been with, so I'm happy for all of them to move on. I have no resentment towards them, anger towards them, frustration towards them, or bitterness. And I'm just focused on following my life purpose, which is helping other people, the spiritual music and faith and spirituality, and just doing what God has called me to do, which is very important to me. So that's my message for the this podcast and audio episode. This is my Life is Like a Story podcast, which is spiritual life lessons on my life's journey and my life story. I am working on a debut album called My Life is Like a Story at some point, which is a whole album of my life. That's taken me a lot of time to do. I have produced all the sounds, I just haven't recorded all the songs. I'll do that at some point within the future. But as for now, this podcast is available on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Amazon Music, and you can listen to the podcast on any of the podcast streaming websites. So it's always available. If you have listened about my breakups and relationships, don't feel sorry for me, because I don't feel angry or upset that I have had breakups of relationships or failed relationships. I think that made me who I am and built the qualities of who I am. And whatever happens in the future, in a relationship or not, I'm just gonna live now and focus on what's important now, and just move forward within the now and live in the spiritual present moment. So thank you for listening now. I hope this has helped, and don't feel like sad if you've gone through a breakup or a failed relationship or a divorce. Pick yourself up, move forward, learn the lessons that you can learn from it. And if God brings you a new person or a new partner or a new spouse or husband or wife or boyfriend and girlfriend or partner or children, teach your lessons to them and just be a better person within yourself. So thank you for listening now. Take care now. Bye bye. Thanks.